I'll ask you when we get back in 1 minute or 70 seconds technically, why you decided to go down to Panama. Last time I talked to you a year ago or so, you guys were still coming back to the U.S. some. Now you're not. And we've got to talk about what happened at the Codex Alimentarius meeting a few months ago that you covered in Europe as well. So our amazing guest with us for 1 more hour straight ahead. healthfreedomusa.org is their website. All right, we're now into the final hour. This is a quick 5-minute segment, but a long segment coming up with both of our guests joining us. My website's Infowars.com, of course, PrisonPlanet.com, JonesReport.com. Their site's HealthFreedomUSA.org. We're going to put that up on the screen. Again, we're now live at PrisonPlanet.tv, been live for the last 55 minutes. And we are talking to Major General Albert Bert N. Stubblebine, the 3rd U.S. Army retired. You can read his bio at healthfreedomusa.org. And his wife, Rima E. Laibow, M.D., graduate of Albert Einstein College of Medicine. There's so much to get into. I mean, perhaps we should get a report from you guys about going to Codex Alimentarius UN meeting and what it is and how they're trying to block our access. I mean, here's an example. Toronto bans bottled water sales, but junk sodas remain legal. That's Natural News. Mike Adams, that you guys work some with, another great guy. Again, if they can ban bottled water, they can start banning other foods, other things. This is setting precedents. Tell us what's going on with that.
Well, what's going on with that is that Codex Alimentarius is designed to make it impossible to get healthy food anywhere. And the reason that we came to Panama is directly related to that. And indeed, General Stubblebine and I have been met at gunpoint in a public meeting, a Codex Alimentarius commission meeting, which is their annual big meeting where they ratify the harm that each of the committees is doing and move it forward and make it global policy. We have been met at gunpoint.
Can I correct one thing? The gun wasn't pointing at us. The guns were actually in their holsters, but they did have guns. That's what she's talking about when they came to get us. And
this is not something that other observers were treated to. None. We were sequestered. There was the main meeting room had about 180 empty seats, and we were in the 4th floor gallery way up above with a guard at the door, and any time either one of us tried to go to the bathroom or to get lunch or whatever, we were followed by the guards and kept away from the delegates. Well, how stupid, because we visit the delegates and the heads of state and the members of parliaments in the developing world in their own countries, and there are no guards there yet, anyway, keeping us away. Why did they need to keep us, two ordinary unarmed citizens?
Because there were only 100 extra seats, and we were told that there were no extra seats, so we had to go to the, into the upper balcony.
But why did they choose to do that, to perpetrate that lie? Well, obviously, because we're being very, very effective. Now, at the last Codex meeting that we attended, we were able to galvanize the African nations in their opposition to having GM food and seeds thrust down their throats to kill them, to sterilize them, and so on, because they know the score. Tragically, the last Codex meeting that we wanted to attend, which was in South Africa at the beginning of November, dealt very much with the issue of genetically modified food and toxins for babies and for sick people. And when we have attended these meetings, we've been able to achieve striking positive forward movement, like banning fluoride from formula for normal infants through our efforts at this same committee meeting in Thailand 2 years ago. That was an incredible victory that was brought about by presenting science and by using the coalition of the unwilling that we have spent years creating. At this last meeting of the same committee, the Committee on Nutrition and Foods for Special Dietary Uses, that was meeting in November in South Africa that I mentioned, we weren't there. Why weren't we there? Because the economic crisis had hit and our donations had plummeted to the point where we literally could not afford the airfare, we could not afford the hotel, we could not afford to go to this meeting. Now, that's not okay, because we are totally donor supported. We have no support other
Well, stay there. We're going to try to
funding.
fix that. Stay there, Doctor. We got a break. Come back. We'll try to fix that right now, because I've been tracking this, and you guys are doing so much of the work. There's literally nobody going to these meetings and resisting and educating.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
All right, Dr. Rima Laibow is our guest, MD, and, of course, Major General Albert Stubblebine, the former head of Army Special Forces and the head of Army Intelligence. We're honored to have them both with us today. You were continuing, Dr. Laibow, to walk through the fact that, yeah, I have books, videos, products, advertising that funds my operation, and I have to spend most of my time, and I'm not whining about it, trying to raise money just to then have the money, you know, to do the broadcast, do the websites, make the films. And I understand this capitalization issue, and you guys have dropped everything the last many years just to fight this, and you're now in Panama. We'll get into that operation you're doing to try to get a truly sustainable community outside of this this corrupt vortex. But yeah, tell folks about your free mailing list. Tell folks if they want to donate, what that money will go to.
Absolutely. Bert and I closed our medical practice, which did supply us with an income and allowed us to have a lovely home and do the things that we enjoyed doing, skiing and dancing and so on, because this is a war and there is great evil afoot, and those who stand by while evil is being perpetrated become perpetrators themselves. That motivates you, Alex. It motivates us. So we closed our practice in late 2004, and we created the Natural Solutions Foundation. We created a website, healthfreedomusa.org, and then we applied the strategic and analytical skills that we used so successfully in our prior careers. Bert as a general involved in strategic intelligence, and I as a physician treating cases where nothing else had worked. And by the way, the official medical phrase when something hasn't worked is that, and you'll love this, the patient has failed therapy. Not that therapy has failed the patient, but that the patient has failed therapy. We closed that in order to take on this global health freedom problem. And one of the things that I do very well as a diagnostician in medicine is look at the whole picture and find the basic underlying error, either an error of metabolism or a toxification or a genetic problem or whatever, and use that as my fulcrum, the point at which by applying the lever of intervention, I can get the greatest result. So when we looked at this Codex Alimentarius genocide, weaponization of food, tyrannical despoilment of the environment, and so on, and the murder of the constitutional body politic in the United States and elsewhere, I said, okay, what is the single central item here which has to be reclaimed, redefined, and put back into the hands of people in order to fix the whole damn system? And the answer is food. He who controls the world, food controls the world. That is the system that is being used at the center of world domination. I don't know whether other people have identified this crucial issue or not, but the fact is that's our analysis. And so we created the International Decade of Nutrition, the IDN, as part of the work of the Natural Solutions Foundation. And we said we need to return the production of food to the people, to the farmers, so they can feed their community, themselves, and their social system can remain intact. They're not driven off their land by the multinational corporations where they go, so that they go to the cities, become the abjectly poor, starve, and die. but instead become what they have always been, the people who essentially hold up society with food.
And that's what globalization, by the way, by design, as you know, Dr. Laibow and General Stubblebine, for the audience that may not, Agenda 21, all of this states, force the people. Take Mexico as a microcosm. Over the last 30 years, they forced the indigenous people off their cornfields where they've been for thousands of years. They forced them into Mexico City. Now 35 million people, around a third of the children born with a syndrome where they have the tiny brain, zombies basically. They never even develop, they die. That's then a staging ground to move them to the United States, to then drive down wages and break down the system here. Globalization is a war against the middle class and against the poor by the elites. And people need to go to your website, donate, support it. I think it's very worthwhile, but also spread the word about what you're doing and take the materials you've developed and deploy that with these natural systems of growing